This video is about finding X and Y intercepts. Let's look at this graph first. For this graph, we can see there are two X-intercepts, which is -3, 0, and 2, 0. And we have three Y-intercepts, which are 0, 2, 0, -1, and 0, -2. I don't know if you have noticed this, but for every Y-intercept, you can see their X value is equal to 0. And for every X-intercept, the Y value is equal to 0. Okay, so this leads to a general rule to find X and Y-intercept, which is to find X-intercept, you need to make the Y in the equation equal to 0. And to find the Y-intercept, you need to make X equal to 0. Let's look at some examples here. We want to find the intercepts of the graphs of the following equations. Okay, let's start from A. Okay, so we know to find the X-intercept, you want to make Y equal to 0. So I will start from X-intercept first. So I will have to make Y in the equation equal to 0. That means I will have 49x squared plus 0 squared equals 49. So I will have 49x squared equals 49. I'll leave this x squared by itself by dividing both sides by 49. Okay, so I have x squared equals 1. Okay, by the square root property, x will be equal to plus or minus square root of 1, which is 1, right? So here I will have two X-intercepts. One is +1, 0. The other one is -1, 0. So two X-intercepts here. Okay, now let's move on to finding the Y-intercept. Okay, to find the Y-intercept, if you remember the rules, we need to make X equal to 0. So we will have 49 is times 0 squared plus y squared equals 49. Okay, so we will have y squared equals 49. By the square root property, we'll have y equals plus or minus square root of 49, which is plus or minus 7. So two Y-intercepts here. One is +7, so 0, 7. The other one is -7, 0, -7. Okay, so that's the first problem. Okay, now let's look at B. Okay, similar case. If you want to find the X-intercept, you will have to make Y equal to 0. Okay, so that means I have 0 equals x cubed plus x squared minus 121x minus 121. Okay, this is an equation I haven't seen for a long time. It has 4 terms, so when we have an equation with 4 terms, usually we will solve it by grouping. Okay, so I will group the first 2 into one group and the last 2 into one group and try to find the LCD. Well, the LCD here. Did I say LCD? I mean GCF, I'm sorry. Greatest common factor, not the least common multiple or least common denominator. Anyway, I want to find the greatest common factor, which is the GCF for each group. So for the first group, the GCF is x squared. I'm going to factor that out. So factor x squared out, I will have to divide every term by x squared. So x cubed divided by x squared is x, plus x squared divided by x squared is 1. Okay, that's the first group. The second group, the GCF, greatest common multiple, is, looks like it's that negative 121. I'm going to factor that out. Then every term will have to divide by negative 121 and go into the parentheses. So I have x plus 1. Notice that they have the same factor, x plus 1. So I'm going to factor that out, x plus 1. So what's left is x squared minus 121. Okay, so here, this can be factored further because that's difference of two squares. I don't know if you remember this. Let me refresh your memory a little bit. If it's a squared minus b squared, it can be factored as a plus b times a minus b. Okay, so I'm going to keep factoring. I will have x plus 11, x minus 11, because 121 is 11 squared. Okay, now it has three equations. I can write each factor equal to 0. Either x plus 1 equal to 0, or x plus 11 equal to 0, or x minus 11 equal to 0. Here I will have three x-intercepts. Negative 1, negative 11, and positive 11. So how many x-intercepts? 3. What are they? Negative 1, 0, negative 11, 0, and 11, 0. 3 of them. Okay, that's the x-intercept. A y-intercept, to find y-intercept, I'm going to write it here because this is going to be short. To find the y-intercept, you want to make x equal to 0. Okay, what's going to happen? If you make x equal to 0, you have y equals 0 plus 0 minus 0 minus 121. Right, so only the constant term is left. So negative 121 is your y-intercept. So you do have a y-intercept, which is negative 121. So 0, negative 121 is the y-intercept. Okay, so that's problem B. Now let's move to C. Let me rewrite C down here. C is y equals negative 9x over x squared plus 36. I want to find the x-intercept and the y-intercept, going through the same process. To find x-intercept, you want to make what equal to 0? Right, y equal to 0. So you have 0 equals negative 9x equals x squared plus 36. Okay, this part is tricky. If you have a fraction, not just this, right? Any fraction. If that fraction is equal to 0, let's say if it's a over b, it's a common fraction. If that fraction equal to 0, that means the a must be equal to 0. Well, what about b? B cannot be equal to 0, because if b is 0, that fraction is undefined. But if that fraction is equal to 0, a must be equal to 0. So similar here. Here we have a fraction. That fraction is equal to 0. That means that numerator, or the top, must be equal to 0. So I can say negative 9x is equal to 0. We'll do a lot of similar problems like this in chapter 3 or 4, right, in the polynomial and rational function chapter. Anyway, let's keep solving. X is equal to 0, so we have one x-intercept, which is 0, 0. Okay, now let's find the y-intercept. To find the y-intercept, you need to make x equal to 0. Okay, so we will have y equals -9 times 0 over 0 squared plus 36. So on top you have 0, the bottom is 36. 0 divided by 36 is 0. How about 36 divided by 0? That's undefined. Well, it's not related to this problem, just quick review. Okay. Anyway, we will have one y-intercept. It's the same as your x-intercept. It's 0, 0. Once you see x-intercept is 0, 0, you know that's also a y-intercept. I'm doing the calculation again just to see if I can get a second y-intercept. Anyway, that's problem C. And hopefully this is helpful. And I will see you in the next video. And bye-bye.